Is anything working? Is anything working yet? Oh, it says live. Doesn't even say upcoming. That's me, innit? Is anything working yet? Yeah, that's me. Hello. Gosh, that was really quick. Look at that. It's only 3 minutes past 9. That's very impressive for me, isn't it? Hello, welcome, Lorwyn. Lorwyn, well, that's the only name of it, isn't it? Lorwyn, part 3. I feel I should waffle a bit to give some people some time to join in, but I'm not sure I've got any. Oh, who's watching the Traitors? Isn't it good though? Isn't it good? The Celebrity Traitors, we're enjoying that, definitely. So there you go. That was some waffle. Was that good? I think that was good. Kind of preliminary ramble that went on. Let's head into the game now. And I mean, I could go on for half an hour about the Traitors. Would you like me to do that? Sarah would like me to do that. I'm not sure everybody's here for that. So
nobody else is here just yet.
Nobody else is here just yet. That's true. But I think we'll probably just crack on, because we don't have a lot of time to get before we have to finish the stream and get some Chinese in tonight. So we want Lorwyn, we want cards in alphabetical order. We got as far as, I better put all of the cards up. We got as far as one of those. Dread, that's where we got, didn't we? I remember that. I feel I should just add a little bit on the bottom of here. I mean, I like this card. I was gushing about this card a bit, quite a lot, in fact. I feel I might have been a little bit over generous of it, in fact, because it does have the thing, doesn't it? I mean, I've put cards in high shit tier for the thing before now, haven't I? It does have the thing that you might pay 19 mana for it, and then it gets shot, and then it hasn't done anything. So it does have that. But I do still like this card. Let's move along and start some things. Dream Spoiler Witches. We certainly didn't look at these in the last part of the Lorwyn set. When you cast a card during your opponent's turn, first opposing creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Ooh, Drowner of Secrets. Right, here we are. Properly new things. Drowner, that rings a bell, Drowner of Secrets. What am I thinking of? What's the thing? What's the thing from Zendikar? What's that called? Drowner of Hope, maybe. That's Drowner of Hope, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's called Drowner of Hope. Well, you can have a look, can't you? I think it's called Drowner of Hope. It really seems like we've had Drowner of Secrets before, haven't we? When this creature attacks, this is a 10 mana 1/3. Terribly small. When this creature attacks, destroy the top 8 cards in your opponent's library. X is the number of Merfolk cards in play. God awful. I mean, we'll be looking out for a mill strategy with Merfolk, I think. This really doesn't seem like part of it. Of course, mill strategies can just be themselves in Magic the Gathering, but mill strategies can't be themselves in Puzzle Quest, so they'd need to be a card that means something that you're milling your opponent. So that's garbage. Ego Erasure. Opposing creatures get -3/-0 to the beginning of your next turn. Garbage. Elvish Branchbender. Activate 1. Right. Create X Forest tokens. What do you think they are? It has forgotten to put the... oops. See, I'm tapping on it there, and all it did was quit out. They've forgotten to put the hint on there to tell us what the forest token does. They feel like they're going to be 1/1 creatures, though, don't they? They feel like they're going to be 1/1 creatures to me. Why? Do you think there might be 2/2s or 4/4s? Like, when turning tokens into lands in Magic, traditionally they're 1/1s, aren't they? I mean, maybe that's my old school roots showing. Maybe that's the fact that I used to play with Cormus Bell showing, whereas people these days expect their lands to turn into much bigger creatures than 1/1s.
Aren't forest tokens 1/1 with haste?
Often no.
Well,
Not the ones that I can remember. In Puzzle Questions aren't forest tokens 1/1 with haste. Is that what you're telling me? Because Drowner of Hope, I thought so. Thank you. I mean, certainly Nissa Worldwaker makes 1/1 tokens with haste. I'm not sure that necessarily that's a given for tokens. Anyway, whatever they are, they're shit. This doesn't create enough of them. We move on. Elvish Eulogist. When this creature dies or loses a reinforcement, again, blah, 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 blah. Elvish Handservant. Now, this, I remember this. This is definitely one of those cards. I touched on this briefly on one of the other parts. In paper, it's built for sealed and maybe draft. You know, it's a low power card. You open the card out of a booster. It says it gets pumped up every time you play a giant. I don't remember it pumping up for an elf or a giant. They may have changed that. I remember Elvish Handservant pumping up whenever you play a giant. And you open it in the booster and you think, well, that's rubbish. And then other people play it against you in a sealed tournament and you think, oh yeah, it pumps up shapeshifters. Anyway, that's largely irrelevant in our game. Yeah, I mean, even in the Silver Jewel, which they pretend is the format that they invented to try and make some uncommons relevant. So terrible. Elvish Harbinger. Oh, we're going to get a whole cycle of these. Oh, but this isn't bad. I mean, it is fairly bad, but we've got a little kicker on the end of here. So all the Harbingers are going to fetch a creature of the same type. Yeah, when this creature enters the battlefield, fetch the first elf card from your library. We've already seen I think a Goblin Harbinger or a Boggart Harbinger or something. There's some kind of Harbinger. Oh, maybe an elemental one. Who knows? I suppose I could check, couldn't I? There was some kind of Harbinger. We've already gone past. Kithkin. Don't know, can't see it, not spending all that time on it. But I know there are more Harbingers in the set. Or maybe we didn't look at it before. Maybe I opened it from a booster. You'd think the thing to do with the Harbinger is probably mostly to play multiple elves. I definitely talked about this before because I talked about pirates fetching pirates in Soft 2 or Soft 1 or one of them for objectives. We already have an elf though that's a 4/4 elf that fetches itself, Sylvan Messenger, in Origins, which is actually not such a bad card to play and Seize the Day for the top node.
The Fairy Harbinger.
The Fairy Harbinger, yeah, okay, fair enough, thank you. Why would we have had Fairy EF? Why have we had the Fairy one already before E? I don't know.
Because you opened the super pack.
Because I opened a super pack.
Looking at the elite packs, weren't you?
Yeah, but it wouldn't be a mythic, and I don't look at the rares. Anyway, so this is an elf that fetches an elf. It's very small. However, we've got a little nice bit on the end, which is gain 3 mana at the start of your turn. Now, that's not really good enough. You know, we're used to loot. Yeah, anyone remember the rare loot? The small rare loot? He costs 5 mana, and he gives you 5 mana every turn. So obviously better than this. But, you know, it's okay. It's okay that this is 7 that gives you 3. It's not good enough, though. Certainly. It's nice that you get a... Yeah, it's probably the Boggart one. There you go. We looked at the Boggart one. Thank you. Shall I get you a microphone? People can hear what you say. Sorry, I'm slightly aware that this might be confusing for people. This is Sarah in the background. Say hello, Sarah. That everyone knows you're in the stream now, and besides, you're probably the only person who's listening right now, anyway. So, but there are people in the future who come and they watch the streams. So yes, Elvish Harbinger fetches an elf. We've already got something that does that. Not sure it's really good. Oh no, but we get some half its mana on this as well. I was forgetting that for the next elf that we fetch. So there's kind of a bit going on in this package. You know, it's that we're playing an elf, we're fetching the next elf, which does gain some of its mana. Now that is something that Silver Messenger doesn't do, and we get 3 mana at the beginning of your turn. I just don't think it all adds up enough to playable card, especially considering it's a 1/2. I don't think it adds up to playable card, because if you're not just fetching an endless stream of itself, yeah, and you're actually putting in other elves into your deck that you actually want to play, well, then you're just going to get annoyed that it fetches itself, aren't you? Because it is going to fetch itself in that circumstance. So, I mean, I think it's probably going to be better than the other Harbingers, but it gives me hope that the other Harbingers will do extra things other than fetching. Elvish Promenade. Promenade? Yeah, Promenade. Let's go Promenade. Kindred Elf, create X elf token. So Kindred is when you play a different elf. No, when you play this card, I always get mixed up with it. When you play this card, then all the elves in your hand get some mana, and the elves in play get +1/+1. It's exciting. X elf tokens. X is the number of elf creatures you control. So it's doubling up your... No, it's not even counting the reinforcements. You've got to assume that's an oversight. It's obviously garbage without counting reinforcements. I think it's garbage if it does count the reinforcements, but you know, some of the Johnnies might like it a tiny little bit. It's not very good. We'll see if it counts the reinforcements. I'm not very interested. When you cast this spell, Clash, if you win, right? So this is a spell that's got a good chance of not doing sod all, especially because you know that one of the 10 cards in your deck costs 2 mana because it's this one. But yeah, even without that, honestly, you know, your 9 cards that cost more than 2 against Greg's 10 cards, I mean, no, we just don't like Clash. But anyway, even if we did win the Clash, the opponent's first creature can't block, can't attack until the beginning of your next turn. It's absolute garbage. So it's a garbage card that might not do, with an extra bit on the end, which means it might not do anything. Huzzah! Epic proportions. That's not very epic. +6/+6 and trample for 13 mana is not very epic. In fact, isn't there a uncommon that gives things +8/+8? Maybe it doesn't do it permanently. There's an uncommon, and it gives a creature +8/+8, and then it fights another creature. And I'm pretty sure it does it permanently. Yeah, no, it sounds good for an uncommon, doesn't it? It's quite old now, but I believe it's still in standard, and it's still playable in the Silver Jewel. And this is rare and only giving things +6/+6, and we don't care about flash. So I have my elves on the team. They'll tell me what the +8/+8 is. Maybe that one's not permanent. But anyway, I don't like that. Ethereal Whisker Gill. It's a 4/3 for 6 that can't attack. They're doing the thing. They're falling into the trap again, aren't they? I'm thinking, well, because this is better than an Orchard Spirit, it needs to be busted down. It must have a negative effect on it because a 6 mana 4/3 is too good. Well, we all know, obviously, a 6 mana 4/3 isn't too good. Exile Boggart. Oh, we've seen this in the terrible Lorwyn 5 event, haven't we? Still no word from Webcore about that. I kind of expected them to change that event to allow you to play your own cards or something. And this one you keep bouncing. I remember this one. I remember I was playing Jace and I kept bouncing this to Liliana's hand. And so obviously she would play it back for 1 mana. So bouncing it was fuck all use. When this creature dies, discard the last card in your hand. Oh, that was a little bit useful, wasn't it? You could shoot it yourself to put a card into your graveyard, I think. Which yeah, because Liliana in the terrible Lorwyn 5 event had to have cards in her graveyard. Anyway, it's all terrible. The event is terrible. The card is terrible. Everything's terrible. Here we go. So here's a removal card. Kindred Elf, destroy target non-elf creature for 12. I mean, that's already a little bit of a downside, isn't it? Destroy target non-elf creature. This could have cost 7. Eyes of the Wisent. Wisent? Wisent. Wisent. I'm just trying to think of an amusing pun, but I'm failing. I'm sorry. I let you down there. I thought my dad joke game was pretty strong actually, but I'm afraid it wisent. Does that work? Yeah, pulled it back at the last second. When your opponent casts a blue card, create a Lorwyn elemental token. What's that? Oh, that's a 1/1. No, that's tiny, isn't it? We've seen 4/4 elementals. We've seen 3/1 haste elementals. 1/1 when your opponent casts a blue card. Right. Oh, yeah. So this is coming back to me now. Of course, this is an old set. So this is in the days of Paper Magic when they still used to make colour hosers. So this is a colour hoser. You know, if you know your opponent is going to be playing with a certain colour of card, you can fuck them up. But this doesn't fuck them up very well, does it? Creating 1/1s. And you never know what your opponent's playing. except in PvE levels where you can play this if you like. If it excites you to play this in a PvE level, good luck to you. So terrible. Face Volta. Right. I mean, I guess I don't like the idea of a face Volta. When a goblin creature is destroyed, this creature has +2/+2 until end of turn. Rubbish. Fairy Harbinger. Okay, here's another Harbinger. Oh, and this one doesn't really do anything, does it? It doesn't have the elf generation thing. It's got flash. That's what this does. Probably that the other Harbingers don't do. It's got flash. It's got flying. None of those things matter. So this is just a fairy that fetches another fairy. That card gains half its mana rounded down. Not much to say about that then. It's all fetching itself things and generally being rubbish. And all of the things I've got to say about all the other Harbingers. Fairy Tauntings. Seems like we're getting a lot of Kindred, are we? Seems like there's an awful lot of Kindred in this set. Okay. Maybe there'll be a really nice animation. Oh, I warped a card the other day and there was a really nice big animation all over the screen for warping a card. I almost think it's new. I feel like I have warped a card in the past and there wasn't an animation. I wonder if that warp animation is new, but maybe that's my imagination and it's always been there. But I don't mind it. I don't mind a good animation. There was some in some of the Ravnica ones, not Return to Ravnica set we've just had. Some of the older Ravnica ones, there was the riot mechanic used to put a Gruul symbol up on the screen, and the Simic mechanic used to put a Simic symbol up on the screen. I quite liked those. They were fairly non-intrusive. They were tied to terrible mechanics, so people probably don't remember them. But you know, flashing up the guild symbols on the screen, I didn't mind it. It was a bit, so I liked. So maybe Kindred will have a nice mechanic. Anyway, I don't like it as a mechanic. When you cast a card during your opponent's turn, your opponent loses 2 life. Garbage. Fairy Trickery. Drain all mana from the first non-creature card in your opponent's hand. Please stop making cards like this. Please. I'm begging you to stop making drain cards. They're all so bad. If they're not as good as Days Undoing or Time Reversal, you're not allowed to make them. Those are my rules. Okay? Because let's face it, Days is a bit rubbish these days. I still play Days in like an Omni deck to draw lots more Omnis, maybe. But, you know, considering it's in Standard permanently, I mean, Days has kind of dropped off. I don't even play Time Reversal anymore, but that's more a function of how Standard is at the moment. I can imagine me going back to Time Reversal in the future. I can quite happy to play around the fact that Time Reversal doesn't give you a prompt and not now it. But yeah, stop making drain cards. If that spell is a spell card, exile that spell. Right. If you control a fairy creature, draw a card. Right. Just staggeringly low power. Fallow, even for a common, staggeringly low power. Fallow Sage. When this creature attacks, draw a card. Okay, so this, just to me, looks like a smaller Jessian Thief, doesn't it? Which is a 3/5, 9 mana when this creature attacks, draw a card. And that's in Standard permanently because it's in Origins. Bit of a waste of space making another one. Drain 8 mana, because we've got 2 in fact in Origins, and we've got Jessian Thief and we've got Sigiled Starfish. Bit of a waste of time making another one. Put some extra mana in it. Go on, I dare you. Draw a card and put a bit of mana in it. No, not 2 mana. That's not enough. 6 mana. Yeah, let's have a fucking creature that draws a card every turn and puts 6 mana in it. That doesn't sound... I mean, it's crap. It's still crap compared to Loot. Yeah? And Dragonhawk and something. So fucking just go ahead and do it. Familiar's Ruse. Again, I feel like... Oh, Sirens. Maybe was it Sirens Ruse we had before? Weird that I keep reading the names of cards and thinking we've had those, but it's probably a lot of it. It's probably just the fact that I used to play Lorwyn in paper. Drain 8 mana. Oh my god! So not only have we got Drain, we've got Clash as well. Gee, drain 8 mana from the first card, and then if you Clash, drain all the mana from just the first card. Garbage. Fathom Trawl. What have we got? 13 mana's expensive. Draw 4 cards. I might not mind that if it cost 11 for Colours of Magic. Would we mind drawing 4 cards in Colours of Magic? Maybe not. I mean, it's not hard. You're having to exile cards a lot in Colours of Magic anyway, because, you know, you draw so many. But maybe we wouldn't mind drawing 4 cards and getting slightly better card quality. I don't know. Maybe I'm saying a stupid thing. I've no idea. But anyway, this is 13 mana. It's too much for Colours of Magic. Then, discard all land cards drawn this way. Cards you've drawn this way gain 3 mana. Yeah, just way too expensive. Way too expensive. There are things, you know, but you would have to, you know, make it cost less or make it put more mana in the cards. Fault Grinder, not a Face Vaulter, this is a Fault Grinder. When this card enters the battlefield, destroy a 2/2 block of gems. Rubbish. What's this? Evoke. Yeah, I mean, we've got Volcanic Rambler, haven't we? Which is admittedly uncommon in Origins. Nobody's excited by that anyway. Favour the Mighty. Oh, hello. We've got a lovely, lovely masterpiece. When the creature you control, while you control the creature with the greatest power, your creatures gain prevent damage and hexproof. Right. I mean, this is kind of an unsolvable problem, right? This is the thing. Hello, the Hunter. Welcome in. I just see you. You probably turned up ages ago, actually. But I've just seen that you popped up on the chat. Look at me looking at the chat for a change. That doesn't happen very often. It's because I'm sitting down. I'm usually pacing the room. Yeah. Anyway, so this is a card that protects your creatures. Protecting your creatures is kind of an unsolvable problem because, yes, this prevents them from prevents them from taking damage from things like Pyroclasm, and it prevents them from being targeted by things like Molten Collapse, but it just absolutely does not prevent them being killed by Requisition Raid or Merciless Eviction or the Great Aurora. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not really sure that there is. And even if you can, you know, even if you've got all of those things, of course, fall over at shield counters, don't they? So maybe you could say, well, not only will give it prevent damage and hexproof, maybe we'll give the creature shield counters as well. But oh no, even that doesn't work, because then you can get rid of those creatures with Deem Inferior or, oh, what's the name of the one from Origins? The 14 mana one. Displacement Wave. Yeah. The thing is, no matter how much protection you put on a creature, there is always a good removal spell that is still going to get rid of them. If you can, this is an exercise for the reader. If you can think of a good way of protecting your creatures that works against every possible way, is Sidvert in? Hello, Sidvert. Welcome. I don't usually see you here. Welcome in. Yeah, Sidvert, here you go. Exercise for the reader if you're missing that. If you can think of a spell like this that protects your creatures from every possible way that your opponent might get rid of them with a playable card, then I'll be interested to hear about it. Anyway, that one's not so good. We move on. Fertile Ground. At the beginning of your turn, increase your mana bonuses by 1 until end of turn. That's not good enough, is it? 2? Would we like 2? I mean, people like Sunken Citadel, but, you know, they really like the fact that it's a spell. People don't really play Sunken Citadel because it pumps up their mana bonuses. Really, they do it because they want a massive cascade. 2 or 3? I don't know. I feel like there could be a card like this that pumps your mana bonuses up, but not this one. Final Revels. Choose one. All creatures get +2/+2 until end of turn. All creatures get -0/-2 until end of turn. Garbage! 14 fucking mana for that. Holy shit, that's garbage. Even if it did both, I would piss on that card if it was on fire. I mean, come on now. And you only get one of them. Wow. Firebelly Changeling. This is obviously going to be crap. Yeah. Yep, crap. Fistful of Force. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Rubbish. Then Clash. I mean, at least 4/4/4 until the beginning of your opponent's next turn, at least. Then Clash, blah, 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 blah. You know, garbage. Garbage, garbage. Flamekin Blade Whirl. When this card enters the battlefield, if you behold an elemental, I'm going to have to remind myself what that does. I think it means if you've got one in your hand or in play. Yeah, there we go. So when you play this Flamekin Blade Whirl, if you have another elemental in your hand or in play, so you can see it in flavorful terms, then what you do is reinforce this creature 2 times. So you play it. If there's another one, presumably doesn't look at itself. You'd think it doesn't look at itself. I have no idea if you look at itself. If it looks at itself and you've got 5 mana for a 6 power creature, then that seems like it gets somewhere near mid-shit tier, doesn't it? You know, especially if I'm putting those 14 mana 5/5s in mid-shit tier. I would definitely have to put a 5 mana 6/3 in mid-shit tier. But no higher than that. And it might not even do that. So blah. Flamekin Brawler. Isn't this exactly the same card as Firebelly Changeling? It's pretty damn similar, isn't it? Activate 3 red. +0/+1 until end of turn. Activate 3 red. +0/+1 until end of turn. Does anyone else but me think that making the sets bigger has had no effect? Now, I know what Zidvert's going to say about this, because he said it to me in private before on the Discord. Zidvert's going to say the more cards they make, the more chance there is of accidentally making a bad card. And that is a very good point, because that is, after all, how we get most of the tier 1 cards in Standard, isn't it? You know, they accidentally make something really good, and that turns into a good card. But I don't think there's any chance they're ever going to turn Flamekin Brawler or Firebelly Changeling into a good card accidentally. That's just never going to happen, is it? Especially because these cards are common. I don't know, I really feel like they're wasting everybody's time by making the sets bigger, because they're wasting our time by playing cards we never play with, and wasting their time by designing cards that nobody's ever playing with. So I feel like the increased number of cards, because it's not just the sets are bigger, is it? There's more sets in a year. There's 6 sets in a year. I mean, we noticed this to a great degree, really, is that we're only waiting 3 months between sets. No, we're only waiting 2 months between sets now instead of 3 months between sets. A lot more cards coming out now, and it really feels to me like it's more obvious with these more cards that they're wasting our time with a lot of them. Anyway, here's a rare. Maybe that'll be good. No, it's not. It's just another Harbinger. That's all it is. This one is at least fairly cheap at 5 mana. Maybe there's an objective somewhere that wants you to play a bunch of elementals or shamans, but all of the Harbinger things, I've just said all of the... You heard me, didn't you? I just said all of the same Harbinger things about that card. We move on. Activate 1. This is disconcerting. I'm seeing a few Activate 1s in the set. A lot of drains, a lot of Activate 1s. You know, normally when this kind of thing happens, I say maybe they've hired somebody new who just doesn't understand the cards. But I'm more inclined to say at the moment that maybe they just don't give a shit. Fodder Launch. What have we got here? This sounds like a... Oh, I've seen this one. This one is bugged, I believe. So target creature gets -5/-5 until end of turn. Well, we obviously don't like minus effects until end of turn. But I believe this one is currently bugged and permanently gives creatures -5/-5. We don't care about 5 damage to your opponent. That's basically nothing. But, you know, even with the permanents, it's far from good. You know, I'm sure I've said before, I think there might be a place for permanent minus effects in the game. But I think in order to put that onto, you can't have a whole card that does that. I think it has to be a repeatable effect, and I think it probably also has to be on a Vanguard, and I think that Vanguard also has to do something else good as well. think you have to go a long way to make these minus effects a thing that can exist in the game. And I do think they can exist, but they have to exist somewhere like that. A vanguard that is also good in other places. Return the first creature card from your graveyard to your hand, draw a card. Yeah, not powerful enough. Forced fruition. Okay, now this is interesting in paper. This is a fascinating mill card in Paper Magic. It makes your opponent draw 7 cards every turn, I believe. I think that's what it does. Which, I mean, sounds insane. Why would you want to give your opponent so much gas? But it's actually, your opponent ends up drawing so many cards that they might deck themselves. So that's kind of the point of the spell Forced Fruition, which I'm just typing into my browser just to check what it does. Oh, no, it's even better than that. That's right, yeah. So it doesn't draw 7 cards every turn. What it does in paper is every time your opponent casts a spell, they draw 7 cards. So there really is a limited number of things that they can do in the game, especially in a sealed or draft game with a deck limit of 40 cards. There really is a limited number of things they can do in the game. You're all looking at what this card does and screaming at me, Steve, this is completely irrelevant. This is a pile of shit, isn't it? I haven't even looked yet. Really limited number of things they can do in the game before they can lose. Anyway, that's the whole point of that card. Let's see what this does. When a player casts a card. Okay, so they've basically just changed it completely. But that's okay. That's okay. We can have something that triggers when anyone plays anything. When a player casts a card, that player draws 6 cards. This effect can trigger up to 3 times per turn. Right. So that's powerful, isn't it? Do we give a shit about this card? I don't think so. I mean, obviously it doesn't matter that it can trigger 3 times a turn, because after it triggers once in the turn, your hand is kind of full, isn't it? You know? I mean, you certainly can't play this in any kind of combo deck, because yeah, okay, fair enough. The first time you cast something, you fill your hand up to 6 cards, and then as your combo then goes off, you then draw 1 more card from it, and then 1 more card from it, and then it stops working because there's a trigger limit. So, and it does cost 17, doesn't it? So, I don't know. What do you think, Zipper? It looks garbage, doesn't it? I don't think so. I mean, I do like to draw a lot of cards and then throw cards away. But I'm obviously only trying to think of niche uses for this thing, because obviously I'm going to be playing with Chimmel and not this. In an actual important event. No, don't think so. Prove me wrong, Johnnies. Go for it. Gaddock Teague. I've seen some early buzz about this card, but I don't think so. I think it's too narrow. At the beginning of each player's turn, if that player has non-creature cards that cost more than 12 in their hand, increase the cost of those cards by 5. So that does seem very narrow to me, right? Yeah? So it doesn't work on creature cards, and it doesn't work on cheap non-creature cards. That's a lot of cards it doesn't work on. I appreciate that a lot of the cards in Standard, especially a lot of the ones that I'm playing with right now, will be affected by this. Golden Wish will be affected by this. Requisition Raid, Chimmel, all kinds of things, Assimilation Ages, will be affected by this. But I don't know, it's still not enough for me to put this down and hope my opponent is playing the same kind of deck that I do. You know? When Greg is always going to be playing his creatures first anyway. And one of those creatures might get rid of this Gaddock Teague. Seems too narrow to me. Increase the cost of those cards by 5. I mean, I could be doing that with Nicol Bolas, the Vanguard, Nicol Bolas, yeah? Increasing the cost of the 2 cards at the top of his hand every turn by 6 mana. That's how I want to be. Oh, well, I'm not increasing the cost, am I? I'm draining 6 mana out of it with that, which is not quite the same thing as increasing the cost. Increasing the cost technically is a bit better than draining, isn't it? Oh, there you go. There's a good drain card. I've forgotten about that one. Nicol Bolas. But again, right, I say it's a good card, but I only like it because I put it into play with Golden Wish. I would never actually spend all that mana. What does it cost, 17? To put a Nicol Bolas straight into play. I don't think I've ever done that. And I've been playing with Nicol Bolas quite a bit. It's all about the Golden Wish, baby. Then, so we've got this increasing cost effect that I don't really like. But it is on a 7 mana card. That's a nice cheap card. Then, if a player has cards with a buried cost of 12 or more in their hand or graveyard, increase the buried costs of those cards by 5. Now that's, to me, that seems like it affects Grist, doesn't it? That's what that says to me. I mean, certainly Mystical Teachings is a card with a buried cost of 12 or more. So, I mean, that's going to stop Mystical Teachings from casting, because the only way to increase the mana in a Mystical Teachings in your graveyard is to put another Mystical Teachings in your graveyard, which only puts 2 mana into it. But then again, does it really stop you casting a Mystical Teachings from your graveyard if you're putting them into the graveyard, putting a bunch of them into the graveyard with Space-Time Anomaly? I don't know. And more importantly, it definitely doesn't really do a very good job of stopping you casting a Mystical Teachings from your hand. Do you know why? Because while it is a non-creature card, it does not cost more than 12. So you can cast your Galactic, that's fine, right? I'm going to cast my Mystical Teachings. Oh, my Golden Wish. Oh, did you think it was going to stop me casting my Golden Wish? No, my Mystical Teachings is going to fetch my Golden Wish. I just think he's garbage. I think he's hot garbage. Enjoy him if you want to. Gale Powder Mage. What have we got here? When this creature attacks, reinforce target creature you control until end of turn. I mean, that could have been permanent, couldn't it? Oh, it's got Bravery. Ooh. That could have been permanent, frankly. I wonder what it does in paper. Who knows? Don't like it. Not good enough. Ghostly Changeling. It's another one, isn't it? Well, no, it's not quite. This one's quite different from those red ones we were looking at, isn't it? What was it? These ones. Quite different from that. But enough like that we can immediately skip past it and say we don't care. Changing really needs to be something. You can't. It's not good enough to just have some changelings like it is in paper. You can just have some changelings and go, well, there you go. We'll throw them into the sealed and the draft format, and they might be a little bit relevant, and they are a little bit relevant. Changeling is absolute. It's a bit like unblockable in this game. You know, it's absolutely nothing. But I'd like to see it on some powerful cards. Giant Harbinger. Yep, here's another one. All of the things about the Harbingers that I've said before refer to this one. This one has no special stuff on him. Giant's Ire. 9 mana, deal 4 damage to any target. If you control a giant creature, draw a card. Yes, rubbish. Gilt Leaf Ambush. Oh, what do we got here? Kindred Elf, create an Elf Warrior token. Just one single 1/1. Then Clash. Holy shit. Wow. I mean, they really thought about this one, didn't they? So you create a 1/1 token, and that might be all it does, right? And only one. It's just those creatures. In paper, I'm pretty sure in paper it creates 2 tokens, but for some reason they've busted it down to 1 token. It's not even a spelling mistake. That was somebody's decision, that was. Right? A 1/1 token. And then if you win the clash, creature gets Defender and Death Touch until end of turn. So you're having to play with this with Flash. So it could potentially, if you play it with Flash, it could potentially, as a 1/1, block and kill something with the Death Touch. Or it might not. Yeah, we're all playing with something that actually does kill something and not something that doesn't. I mean, this is kind of the problem with Clash here, isn't it? All of the cards I've seen with Clash, excuse me, I clicked on the wrong thing. All of the cards I've seen with Clash all do this kind of thing, don't they? They say, do a completely irrelevant thing that if nobody cares about, and if you win the Clash, you do a little bit more of irrelevant things that nobody cares about. We're going to need a Clash card that says, you know, like, kill a creature, yeah? Let's have a Molten Collapse that goes, if you win the clash, also blow up a second thing. We could start to talk about that, couldn't we? Zibford knows I don't like point removal. 1-for-1 removal I don't like, because I think 1-for-1 removal has gone away. It's not powerful enough in standard these days, and mass removal where it's at. In fact, one-sided mass removal is where it's at the moment. I'm not playing with the great Aurora. Oh no, boy. No, I've got my requisition weight. So that's what Clash is going to have to be, at least, to start getting us interested. And none of it is. It's very disappointing to me. This is a land. If you have an elf card in your hand, it gains half its mana. At the beginning of your turn, convert 3 just to black or green. Yeah, that's too expensive. Guiltleaf Seer is just absolute garbage and can't be asked to talk about it. Glare Wielder. When this creature enters the battlefield, opposing creatures again can't block. Well, they can't block anyway. I bet we're all really glad that's got Evoke, aren't we? Glenalendra Pranksters. When you cast your second card each turn, you may control target creature you control to your hand. What? Why? Why would I want to do that? Are the Johnnies excited? No, are the Johnnies excited by a 12 mana 1/3? You're asking me if the Johnnies are excited by the 12 mana 1/3? What a pile of shit. Again, there's room in the game for a mechanic that says when you cast your second card each turn, do a thing. You have to put it something better. Disable target opposing creature until the beginning of your next turn. Yeah, well, we know for a fact because we've already seen it. There are cards, there's a card in this set that says disable a creature for 2 turns, isn't there? Let's see some more of that. We already know from experience that disabling a creature till the beginning of your next turn is not really powerful enough. This one does have it's got a little bit of flash on it, but no, I don't care. Yeah, so make it disable things for longer. That's what I'm saying. Goat Napper. Again, this is one of those little Easter egg things for sealed and draft in paper. You look at it, you say, gain control of target goat, but there are no goats in the set. But then a clever person plays it against you and steals one of your changelings. And you go, that's actually good design after all. What have we got? When this creature enters the battlefield, gain control of target opposing creature that costs 10 or less. Oh, I think I've seen this one before. This is really baffling to me. The design decision on this card is really baffling to me. So it's gaining, so it doesn't work on just goats. So they've ignored the shapeshifter thing. Delete that from your mind. They've ignored that. It's just gaining control of a slightly small creature until end of turn. This is the really, really baffling thing. If that creature is a goat, that creature gets +3/+0 and gains Trample and Berserker. Now, how is that flavourful? You've got a Goat Napper and he's coming along and he's stealing things. And he's not always stealing goats, this one. The one in paper does. No, this guy just steals random creatures. Yeah, he's a Goat Napper. He has them away. Yeah. Stealing random creatures, hoping one is a goat, because he's called Goat Napper. And then if he happens to get a goat, then the goat turns into an armor-plated killing machine. What's that? What kind of fucking flavour is that? And the goat suddenly gets bigger and gets berserker and runs into something and dies. How is that flavour? I don't understand it. We're going to come across Sower of Temptation later on. I kind of get that one. Like they took that one and they changed it, and the flavour of it doesn't really make sense anymore. But at least it's more powerful. But this, I don't know. It's ChatGPT. It's that's who designed the card. It's ChatGPT. Gold Meadow Dodger. When this creature enters the battlefield, your first creature with power 4 or less gains unblockable. Well, that's absolutely nothing that you gain there. Gold Meadow Harrier. I think this one permanently taps down a creature, doesn't it? Don't you pay a white mana in paper to tap a creature so you can effectively use it every turn? I think so. But this This is going to be the same as that Origins card that we've already got. Yeah? That may... Oh, no, not true. No, that's dishonest of me. The Origins one, he's that bold guy without a shirt on. Yeah? The Origins guy only disables a creature until end of turn. Yeah, he's in Origins. He's a little 1/1 creature. You know, yeah. You know, what's that? Akron Jailer. Akron Jailer. That's the one. That's right. Now, he only disables a creature until end of turn. He's one of those, the first creatures that you play with where you
wear
think...
shirts in jail.
You'd think. One of the first creatures you ever play when you're playing the game where you go, oh, right, I understand. Disabling things until end of turn is absolutely pointless. But, you know, doing it until through your opponent's turn, really, doesn't take you long to figure out that that's rubbish as well. And we have been playing for 10 years, so clearly we can throw Gold Medal Harrier in the bin. How are we doing for time? Oh, we've got a little bit of time left. I want to have a Chinese tonight, you see. And they got very annoyed at me when I tried to ring them up too close to closing time. I say they got too annoyed at me, but actually they gave me like an extra tub of all the extra stuff that they had just like sloshing around in the frying pan. So I had got like extra food by ringing up late. But they did seem very disappointed in me when I rang up late. So I don't want to like do that too often. Anyway, what that means is I shouldn't be wasting this time talking about Chinese, or I could be wasting my time talking about these cards. At the beginning of your turn, says Goldmeadow Stewart, if this card, that's his name, Stewart's his name. He's not a Stewart. It's his name. It's like Churning Eddie, yeah? You said Churning Eddie, Temporal Eddie as well. That's what their names are. At the beginning of your turn, I don't even know what sets those are from, but somebody out there will get it. At the beginning of your turn, if this card is in your hand and you control a Kithkin, reduce the cost of this card by 4 until end of turn. Wow. Okay. Guardian Cloverdale. So we've got a 4-mana... Oh, I think we might be moving into mid-shit tier 5. For after all of this absolute garbage. So the lowest of the low shit tier that we've been going through. We might be moving into mid-shit tier with this one. So we've got 15 mana for a 4/5 and 3 1/1s, yeah? So 15 mana for 7 power to hit somebody in the face. We're firmly in mid-shit tier with that, I think. We've moved all the way out of low shit tier. When a Kithkin creature is destroyed game-wide, there's nothing else on it. That's all it is. It's just a bit of a mid-shit tier creature. Guile. Okay, now we liked the last one of these, didn't we? We liked Dread. I say we. When an opponent's card has its mana drained, reinforce this creature. Honestly, I don't know about this. It seems like you can probably trigger it a lot, doesn't it? But I'm not sure if I can immediately with my brain. Oh, isn't it good that I've got so many good players of the game in the chat. Maybe they can suggest some cards. Maybe the people in the chat can suggest some things that this will combo with. But like a lot of the stuff that I'm thinking, for example, my brain immediately goes to Sphinx's Tutelage. But no, that doesn't work at all, does it? Because doesn't Sphinx's Tutelage increase the cost of cards and not drain mana? Yeah? Because you'd be wanting something like that triggers a lot. That's the reason why I thought of Sphinx's Tutelage is it triggers every time you draw a card, doesn't it? So in order to make this really, really huge, you'd want to trigger it a lot of times during a turn. I'm sure there's plenty of things that you could drain mana once a turn with. Yeah? Oh, there's all kinds of things you can do it once per card that you cast, but that's rubbish. But in order to make this really, really powerful, this 20 mana 6/6. Oh, it doesn't do anything else though, does it? Look, it's a 20 mana 6/6. All it does is become fat. So I'm afraid I can't get excited by that, even if it does turn into a really large thing. What do we think of for really large things? We immediately think of Planar Chaos, don't we? So yeah, okay, maybe there's a place for it, getting just a creature that gets large and nothing else in Planar Chaos. But you need to specifically build around it. Has anyone got anything yet? Have I waffled for long enough that people have suggested? Mizzium Meddler. How often does that trigger? Once a turn, is it? Or how often does... Let's go and have a look at Mizzium Meddler. It might be swaps. It's so, honestly, so I remember it being quite good in the early days, but Zidvet has suggested Mizium Meddler. I'm going to go into card looks up. Let's go Mizium Meddler. It says when you match any coloured gem. Yeah, I mean that's basically once a turn. I mean, yeah, okay, I get it. Oh no, it isn't, because you can go off and do combos. But I mean, come on, if you're going off and doing combos, just play with Ocelot Pride. Oh, I'm just wondering if there's something. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm leaving it for the Johnnies then in that case. Nabaldan said that it wasn't working in the forums earlier today. He said he wanted to put it in a deck with Teferi Chronoclast. Now, again, I don't think Teferi Chronoclast like naturally drains, does he? He's got deny gems and he's got time bubbles. I don't think he naturally drains, does he?
Deny gems drain, though, don't they?
Do they? No, I don't think they do, because they increase. They either decrease your mana bonuses. Well, no, but the time bubbles just suck. Just make you discard the card. Do they drain the mana and then make you discard the card? Yeah. Oh, well, okay, all right, fair enough. So maybe time bubbles actually do some draining. You'd really think I would know how this game works after all this time playing it, wouldn't you? Yeah, okay, so, maybe it works with Teferi. I've stolen that idea, obviously, off Nabaldan, because I didn't even know that it worked, which apparently it might. So, yeah, so I don't know, maybe there's a Teferi Chronoclast deck with this card, after they fixed it, because he said it only triggers once a turn at the moment, that you might want to play in Planar Chaos. I very much doubt it. I'm certainly not as impressed with Guile as I was with Dread. Let's move on. Harpoon Sniper. What earth is going on there? What on earth is what is going? Okay, so he's drawing he's got a bow. Okay, and he's having to lean all the way back in the water. I mean, I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to try and blame that on Webcore, don't you worry. It's obviously Wizards of the Coast who commissioned whatever the hell that piece of art is. At the beginning of combat on your turn, deal X damage to the first opposing creature, X the number of merfolk creatures you control. Yeah, we're not interested in that. Heal the scars. Again, this is one of those cards where, they obviously... They've reminded themselves of the existence of Regenerate, so they thought, oh, let's use Regenerate on a bunch of cards, and they've just made the most absolute garbage with it. It's just like they just assumed, without reading the card, that Regenerate must somehow be relevant in some kind of way. So let's just remind ourselves what this does. This puts a little ability on a creature, so that if it's taken damage, every turn at the start of the turn, it's going to heal one of that damage back. Does anyone care about that? God, no. Half-Cage Giant. What have we got here? We might be looking at mid-shit tier again, because we've got 2 Elemental Shamans here. Yeah, so we've got 13 mana for a 5/5. And 2 3/1s. That's not bad. That nearly gets to high shit tier, doesn't it? 13 mana for 11 damage a turn. I think that gets to be high shit tier, actually. Still shit tier, but high shit tier. When an elemental creature you control dies, this creature gets +3/+1. Okay, that's not much. So it's just a big fat thing. That's somewhere in high shit tier. I mean, probably low high shit tier. But yeah. This is what I'm reduced to, is getting excited when cards get all the way up to high shit tier, which I don't have to keep reminding you is still shit tier. Heat Shimmer. What have we got here? We've got a mythic here. Just going to have a look at the chat. Just make sure there's nothing going on. Right, Heat Shimmer. Create a copy of target non-token creature into the battlefield under your control. Okay, so it's not necessarily one that you control. Oh my god. I was going to start talking about this card as if it did something, but it doesn't, because look, it's giving them imminent death. God. card. Create a copy of target non-token creature into the battlefield under your control. It does get reinforced twice. That's going to keep it alive for a turn. Yeah, with imminent death, because imminent death triggers on everybody's turn and not just your turn. Creature gains haste and imminent death. I mean, whatever. If you want to like this card, you can. But I just hate imminent death. Imminent death, must have said this before, imminent death doesn't kill things. They want to, when Octagon made it up, they thought they made a genius mechanic because you can use it either offensively or defensively. You can either use it to kill your opponent's stuff or you can use it to pump your stuff up. But it doesn't do either of those things nearly well enough. We wouldn't get Killer Instinct, I think, without a Heat Shimmer. And I did like Killer Instinct, but honestly, I think we could have written that card in a different... Did Killer Instinct... I'm second-guessing myself now. Did Killer Instinct even have imminent death? Or did it just used to kill whole stacks of things? I'm pretty sure it used to have imminent death. But, you know, there may be one or two cards that exist, and I think Killer Instinct is one of them, that have had imminent death in the past, but they don't make it worth the entire mechanic existing. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Hello, Herbal Poultice. The kindest thing you can say about Herbal Poultice is that it dies. This is in the terrible Lorwyn 5 event, and you're playing with Liliana, and in the Liliana deck, you have to put cards into your own graveyard. So the fact that this awful, worthless piece of shit card... Look, not only does it give Regenerate 1, so it's this card again, Regenerate 1, but it ties that to an Activate 1 gem. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ, Webcore. Right? But this... And it only has one shield, but that is its one saving grace. In the terrible Lorwyn 5 event that nobody actually likes playing, is that you match it away, it goes to your own graveyard, it helps you get the objectives for that event. So the nicest thing you can say about this piece of shit card is that it dies. In fact, do you know, it's a lot like when people say things like, oh, do you know, the thing that I like about Avacyn's Madness, or the thing I like about the new story mode quests, is you can not play them. It's a lot like, no, you don't have to. You don't have to play them, you can just ignore them. And that is apparently a positive thing you can say about something, that you can just not do it. Moving on. Hello, Siva. Are you well there? Are you all right? Yeah. Hill Coma Giant. Oh, you see, similar thing. We talked about this with Barenton, whatever the hell it was called in B. But yeah, similar thing going on here with Regenerate. We've got Protection. Protection is kind of a relevant thing. Maybe in Sealed and Draft. In Paper, largely irrelevant because of the changes in the actual mechanic here, so we don't care about that. Hoarder's Greed. I kind of like the art there. I'll say that. You lose 2 life, draw 2 cards. Well, I play a card that I don't mind that does that. It's called Read the Bones. And sometimes I play it with Grist. And I don't mind it in Grist because what Grist does is gives a lot of things buried. And, you know, so it casts out of the graveyard all kinds of time. It gives Grist a little bit more card advantage. As if Grist needed fucking more card advantage. Popping things out of the graveyard for free all the time. This one, though, costs 9 mana. That's too expensive. We don't like it. Hoofprints of the Stag. We've got something like this a bit in the game already. What's that white enchantment that gets more and more shields, comes into play? And then you pop the activated gems that it has, and it puts huge stacks of 4/4s into play. What's that called? Somebody, right, I don't even know what to search. It's been so long since I've played that card, I don't even know what to search for. So somebody are going to have to recognise what I'm talking about there.
What's that, Angels?
It was Angels, I think, yes.
Luminarch Ascension.
Luminarch Ascension! Oh my God, Sarah, thank you so much for that. That's exactly the card I'm talking about. Let's see how much this can stick into play. Because in Paper, this is kind of the same thing. You know, you put a load of tokens on it. You end up being able to stick a load of 4/4s into play. So without reading the card, I'm thinking to myself, maybe we'll be able to stick so many 4/4s into play, it'll be playable in Planar Chaos. We've got Kindred Elemental Blah. When you draw a card, increase this card's level by 1. They've done it, haven't they? They've put this card's level becomes 1, haven't they? Well, actually, they've put that card's level become 1, which is weird because then it sounds like it's talking about the white elemental token, doesn't it? But clearly it isn't. Does anyone think, Zibvert, does anyone think that, oh, it says here, Killer Instinct just kills. All right, fair enough. Maybe there are no cards with imminent death that are any good. What about that big Phyrexian thing that costs 26 mana? Is that any good? That's got imminent death on it, hasn't it?
Academy Elite.
I never played with it. Academy Elite? That doesn't really count. That doesn't really count because you just make it really huge, Academy Elite, and it just kills somebody in 1 or 2 attacks. Doesn't really. So, when have you made an enormous Academy Elite and cared about the fact that it was dying?
But it gets haste.
Tainted Adversary, there's one. It does not matter that the tokens have imminent death on Tainted Adversary because they just kill your opponent. Anyway, should we actually look at Hoofprints of the Stag? Yes, we're assuming the level becoming 1 is relevant to this card. So what we've got is, when you draw a card, its level becomes 1. When it gets up to 4, you put presumably a 4/4 into play. Yes, there it is, the 4/4. But I'm sure it doesn't do this in paper. I'm sure in paper, once you get to a certain level with it, it's quite good at spitting. I'm going to just have a look at this. Hoofprints of the Stag. I could be wrong about this, but let's have a look. Oh, no, that is exactly what it is. When you draw a card, you may put a counter on it, and then you have to remove 4 counters on to create a 4/4. Oh, so they've actually done a really good job of porting it over from paper. And what that means is, it's not strong enough for our game. So, we're going to move on. Horde of Notions. Oh, this was in the Elite Pack, so we've been over it. Hornet Harasser. Is a little boggart. When this creature dies, target creature gets -3/-3 until the beginning of the next 10 year, whatever. Hostility. All right, this is probably a good place to finish, actually, isn't it? Yeah, it is, because we've gone past 10, and I want a yummy young chow fried rice. Thank you very much. Hostility. So, let's see if this can be better than Guile, shall we? Which still might be a thing. When a source you control deals non-combat... Oh dear, this doesn't look good. A source you control deals non-combat damage to your opponent's planeswalker. Your opponent gains 6 life. What? When a source... So that's a negative thing. So if I burn you for 6 damage, you gain 6 life. So I still can deal damage to you, but non-combat damage. So it doesn't stop this thing attacking and hitting. That just seems like a really weird clause. I wonder where that's come from. That's obviously something to do with the paper. I can't be bothered to look. Because you're just going to put it in a deck that doesn't deal a lot of non-combat damage, aren't you, to get around that negative effect, I think. Then reinforce this creature. Oh, right, okay. just read the card, Stephen. You'll see why it does things. Okay. So, yes, so you do want to be dealing that's the whole point of it, Steve. You do want to be dealing non-combat damage to your opponent's planeswalker, which means this thing grows big. Again, feels like there's going to be some combos to do with this. I imagine people will have fun building those combos to do with this. Obviously, one single burn card is rubbish. I would say, again, like I did last time with Guile, that one single once per turn on a permanent is not going to be enough. You're looking for something to combo this with that deals non-combat damage multiple times in a turn. Preferably a permanent. What was it? Serpentine Spike. That's a spell that deals damage 3 times. There you go. That's the best I can come up with. I know it's terrible. I never claimed to be a Johnny. That's the best I could think of at the top of my head, you know. But like Ren and 6, dealing 1 damage to your opponent every turn, the Vanguard, you know, no good. Nobody's excited about doing this once per turn. It's a 6/6, it's 10 mana. I mean, you know, a card that is a 6/6 and reinforces itself once per turn is Rakdos. You'd rather be playing with that, wouldn't you? You know, so you're definitely going to want to deal damage more times a turn. I don't know. I kind of don't mind it existing because it is definitely the kind of thing that A, clearly isn't broken and nobody's really going to care about the top level of the game, and B, combo players might have some fun with. So yeah, you know, knock yourself out playing with hostility. Are we going to move on? No, let's not even move on. I think that's it for today. Thanks everyone for being in. Seems like it's been reasonably busy today. We'll look at part 4 of the stream on, I think it's going to have to be Tuesday actually, because yeah, well, I've got my food delivery coming on Monday. I don't want that turning up halfway through.
You want to do Saturday then?
Yeah, no, I don't want to do it on Saturday. Obviously, I want to play all of my games throughout the weekend. Have to concentrate. Large, big win stream to concentrate on coalition events. So I'm looking at Tuesday for the part 4 of the stream. Seems like we might get up to. Seems like we're definitely getting to part 5. And maybe even part 6. Who knows? So thanks very much all. Did we find anything again today? I think we're still basically just looking at that one card at the moment. The Dread at the moment, aren't we? Which again, we can't obtain it. I kind of don't mind, you know, if there's going to be literally nothing in this set that's worth having, I kind of don't mind. I mean, I felt that about Ether Drift, to be perfectly honest. I did, admittedly, I did get Bright Glass Gearhole, you know. But that was, you know, it didn't feel like part of that set because I crafted it, and I crafted it obviously when the next set dropped. So, I don't mind if there's nothing in the set because it lets me build up my jewels. And at 7, you can see at the top of the screen, I've got 7k jewels. That's, for some reason, that doesn't feel like enough for me at the moment because I dropped down to about 2 for a while. So, you know, I don't. It is possible that we'll end up in an environment where Webcore are making too many cards, too many really good cards for me to get my hands on. What with, you know, the larger sets, the increased size of the decreasing size of the release window, and the fact that I generally don't spend money on the game. So I'm watching out for, you know, Webcore just making so much really great stuff that I can't keep up with it. It really doesn't look like that's going to happen, does it? You know, so I do want to build my resources up, but I mean, doesn't seem like it's going to be very important for a while. Thanks, you all, and I will see you all in the future.